Hello friends, how are you all? I hope you all are good and energetic. Okay, so this is our class 2 and we will be continuing from where we left. So in this class we are going to study about Vakil Brahmananda plan, which is an alternative to alternative to alternative to NM model. Okay. And also I forgot to tell you one more drawback also in the previous class. There was one more drawback, that there was no mention of inflation and unemployment in the NM model. Okay, so now let's study about this new model, which is the alternative to NM model. So first of all, the center of this model or the focus of this model is on wage good sector. Okay, so this was the main focus of this model. So this alternate model for the development of Indian economy was skeptical of the relevance of the Keynesian problematic for India, which is the excess capacity. Okay, so you remember that the Keynesian unemployment is due to what? Due to excess capacity or the underutilization of the available resources, including the stock of wage good and other circulating capital. So according to VB, I'll call this as VB. So according to VB in India, unemployment of labor existed because the supply of labor of good because the supply of labor wage good, which are food and clothing, basically to sustain the labor as a cooperative factor with land and labor is inadequate. So we want to say that there was unemployment in India because the laborers has no access to labor wages good, which are their basic necessities such as food and clothes. Okay, due to which there is unemployment in India. Okay, and the name which Brahmananda chooses for this terms of basic wages good, he termed this as corn and clothes in its paper. Okay, so he has chosen from the list of 14 items and he termed is that as corn and clothing as their basic wages good. So it was just a term to represent the labor wages good. Okay, so according to Vakil and Brahmananda, the multiplier mechanism cannot work in the absence of the wages good, and this led them to the proposition that employment cannot expand without wages good. Okay, so basically they said that the reason for unemployment was India was the lack of wage good, and due to this lack of wage good there is no multiplier process in the economy which will lead to the growth of the Indian economy. Now let us study about the appraisal of VB plan. So we will be doing the deep assessment of VB plan. Okay, so appraisal of VB plan. Okay, so according to the PB, okay, which is the author, if you remember, Pulapre Balakrishna, the centrality accorded to unemployment and agriculture in VB plan could not have been faulted. However, the author of this plan appear to have underestimated the importance of capital goods for raising the agriculture production. And also there is a suggestion that these could have been imported in return for the wages good. Also the second point is, if the wages good was scarce enough to limit the expansion of unemployment in the first place, so it is not clear how easily a sufficient export surplus could have been generated. So this was the assessment by the author, which is PB. So that was the first point. Now let's come on to the second. So second, there is a question of competitiveness to be reckoned with. There was perhaps not enough demand for the types of light goods India could supply in the world market. Coming on to the third point. So as far as the agriculture sector is concerned, the primary which is the primary source of wage good it has been unable to supply even the domestic population adequately. Okay, and if I talk about the evidence for this, you can check for the data of the first 50 years of the 20th century. Okay, so I'm just writing down for reference agriculture. Okay, let's come on to the fourth. So fourth, there was also a question of the very availability of the capital good to be purchased in the world market, especially in the aftermath of the Second World War and massive reconstruction going on in Europe. So from this we can clearly see that the VB model was a classical model. Okay, and for the argument that support this, first one can be the employment determined in the labor market. Second, there is no autonomous investment function, which would imply that the demand for labor as a desired demand gets determined in the good market, which is independent of its price. And the last is, in the context of their framework, independent of whether there is an adequate supply of wage good. So VB model was a classical model with these three features. Okay, first, that the employment determined in the labor market. Second, there was no autonomous investment function. Third, in the context of their framework, independent of whether there is an adequate supply of wages good. Okay, so this was all about this VB plan or VB model. Now we will study one by one some topics of all this. Okay, what are the common between these two and what are in contrast. Okay, so we are going to study all this. So first we are going to study about link between agriculture and industry. Okay, since we all know that agriculture was in the plan of VB and industrial development was in the plan of NM. Okay, so we will try to find out the link between that. So according to PB, Mahalanobis has instantly recognized that in the 1950s, Indian agriculture growth was severely constrained by the availability of the most basic kind of industrial input. Thus, agriculture growth was itself linked to the industrialization, even though the extent could have been debated. Okay, and there was one quote from Rajakrishna, who according to PB was not a fan of Nehruvian policy, and he says, and I quote, "In a subcontinental economy with a very large market, abundant natural resources of every kind and vast reserves of unskilled and skilled manpower, the building up of a strong and diversified capital good base was a historical necessity. The technical linkages between agriculture and industry are such that even a 4% growth rate in agriculture is not possible with a high rate of growth in industry, which supply the input requirement of a growing agriculture, and a 7% growth in industry is not possible without a high rate of growth in agriculture, because nearly half of the modern industrial sector either processes agriculture output or supplies the agriculture input." Okay, so this is also important, this excerpt from Rajakrishna. Okay, now let me tell you about accelerated growth of income. Okay, so a rapid increase in level of income was the objective, and this was to be bought via greater investment in heavy industry. But the question comes here now, that how this is to be resourced. Okay, where will we get the required amount of investment? Okay, so what are the source basically? So if I talk about the first point, so since it was a closed economy, so there was no foreign assistant. Okay, so they cannot just take from outside, so you can just write down no foreign aid. And second, that means if they have no foreign aid, that means they have to produce within the country. So in the country, what they have done, they have just increased the role of the PSEs, that is public sector enterprises, for building of nation. Okay, so they were getting their main funds from this PSC. So the role of PSC was very high in the Nehruvian model. Now we are going to see the growth levels with the help of record of growth in Nehru era. Okay. So I will be showing you one table. Okay, this is a small table, but I hope this is visible to you. Okay, so here if you see the table 1, so in this they have started a comparison of growth in the Nehru era with the growth in the first half of the 20th century. Okay, so this is the trend rate growth of GDP. So from this data we can convey two important points. First, not only does growth in the Nehru year imply exceed what was attained in the final half century of the colonial rule, but the quickening of the economy observed in the second half of the 20th century may be seen to have been already achieved in the Nehru era. Okay, you can see the change. It's quite big change, 1.5 to 5.5. So it is quite a big change in the Nehru era. The second point which we can make out from this table is that not only is there an acceleration of growth across all sectors, but also the ranking of sector by growth is reversed early, with the commodity producing sector now growing faster than services, which had been growing segment of the colonial economy. Okay, so this you can here also see from this table also. Here it is 6.10 in the Nehru era, and in the half 20th century it was 5.5. So they have already achieved that growth rate before only. Okay, and the commodity producing sector, what is the was at the peak of 6.8% in the Nehruvian era, which is even larger than the half of the 20th century. Okay, so now we have done the intertemporal growth comparison. Now we are going to do the interspatial growth comparison. Spatial, that means the economic growth of India is compared with different economies or different countries. So for this there was two sets of economy that was chosen during the Nehru era. Okay, the first was the set of Asian economies, and the second is the set of world best performing economies of the all times. Okay, so you can see over here, these are Asians and these are the world best economies of all time. So of the two set of economies for which the data is presented over in this table, a comparison of India's performance with that of the Asian economies is of greater interest for two reasons. Okay, the first one is that the data are for the same period, and the second is that, as stated, in terms of per capita income, Korea and China had economy that were more or less on par with India in the 1950s. So from the work of D. Long 2004, we know that though India has grown faster than most of the Africa during the last 5 decades, okay, but it has performed worse than the East Asia's. And from this table also, if you compare, you can clearly see that the Korea's growth rate is about 50% higher than India for this period. Okay, and if we talk about China, so India is in front of China, or ahead of China by 25%. Okay, you can see over here the China is 2.9 and India is 4.1, so about 25% only. And the China was to pull ahead India only in the late 1970s. Okay, so we can clearly say that in the Nehruvian era, the Indian economy was not at any great disadvantage in comparison with the China. Okay, so we can clearly conclude from this that the Nehru era witnessed resurgent growth and this expansion was achieved mainly by a step up in the public investment within the guiding framework of the Nehru Mahalanobis strategy, which we have already discussed. Okay. So this was all for this class. In the next class, I will be concluding my lecture and giving you all the author view and the Nehruvian view and the Vakil Brahmananda view. Okay, we will be comparing both of the views and giving the final verdict of the author only. Okay, so that will be a concluding lecture. Okay, so this was all for this class. I'll meet you in the next class. Till then, goodbye, take care, tata.